You're welcome back to the show. The show is Morning Spring, and this is Western Spring Television. Well, in recent times, in recent weeks, we've had pockets of issues around the Osun payroll audit that has been, that was contracted out in 2023 and around 2024. There was, a report by the consulting firm. And it has sparked intense debate across the state's political and labor landscape. The government engaged Salitibot Consulting to carry out a comprehensive review of the civil service payroll with the aim of identifying irregularities and eliminating ghost workers and reducing financial leakages. And, when this report came out, it generated lots of controversy as to the Osun State government saying that there was a re-auditing that was carried out, and this right there that you can see is the CEO of Salitibot Consulting, Mrs. Sadat Otu. And she said lots of things around that, the report that there was several thousands of, ghost workers. The government of the day said after the re-auditing, it was found that that's lesser in number were the numbers of, people who were actual ghost workers, and that generated controversy because she was expecting her pay, and then it was cut down by a lot because her pay was supposed to be on a certain percentage of the number of ghost workers who, were discovered. And just recently, I think last Friday, there was a press conference held by the chairman of Osun State APC, Alhaji Soko Tajuddin Lawal, where he said, lots of things. He reeled out several points, about this whole thing. And this morning we have with us, to make sense of this conversation right there, we have the spokesperson to the former governor of Osun State, Mr. Ismail Omipidan, right there with us. Good morning, Mr. Omipidan. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. The pleasure is mine.
All right. I believe that you follow through, the whole development of this, the payroll audit. You're abreast of the response of the state government, how the controversy broke out, and then the press conference that was held by, the party of your former principal right there. I'd like to ask, the so-called ghost workers that were discovered, by the Salitibot consulting firm, was said to be employed by your principal, and that was the bane of the audit in the first place. So I'd like to ask you, why, as the APC or, trying to foist rather this development on the PDP, on this current administration, and if not so, what is your reaction to this?
I'm sure you saw me smiling when you mentioned that they claim that the ghost workers were alleged to have been employed by my former principal, the former governor of Osun State. Usually, when you tell a lie, you will require 1,000 lies to cover up one single lie. If you check your archives very well, it was the spokesperson to the current governor, Mr. Olawale Rashid, shortly after the 2022 election, that issued a formal statement claiming that report at their disposal indicated that Oyetola had engaged 12,000 workers. And I recall challenging him at that point to please provide the details of those 12,000 workers. I went ahead to ask him how many were the workforce of Osun State that 12,000 will be added within a spirit of 2 months. Up to this moment, he has not provided any reasonable or credible response to that poster. In October 2022, barely a month or so before we left office, we had cause to engage in a crossfire on your sister station, the popular Frank Talk. It was hosted on the day by Femi Olanipekun, who has taken leave of the station. If you check your archives, you will see, you will get the conversation there. I challenged him that I hope by the time they get to the office and they are unable to prove that 12,000 workers were added to the workforce, they will have the courage to apologize to the people of Osun and Nigerians for misleading them. The 12,000 workers that is being quoted were the figures quoted by Ademola Adeleke through his spokesperson, claiming that Oyetola had engaged. And so when he took over in November and he announced that all the steps and decisions taken by Oyetola effective from July 17, when election was held, as if the remainder of the number of months that Oyetola was expected to spend in office is deemed to be illegal. He announced on the day of his swearing in November 22 that all those steps and actions are deemed not to have been taken, and he issued an executive order annulling some of those actions. And those actions included the employment of additional 1,500 teachers, recruitment of which we started before the election, and 500 health workers. So by our own record and to the best of my knowledge, only 2,000 workers were added to that workforce based on the template that we had done before the election. So by the time they announced that they were sacking the workers employed by Oyetola, because they were the ones who claimed that they were 12,000, journalists decided to go to town with the same figure to say that Ademola Adeleke sacked 12,000 workers. If you check the archives, if you Google, you will see it there. So the point I'm trying to make is that there was no 12,000 workers anywhere. What was obtainable was 2,000.
Okay.
But to tell you how dishonest the government is, by the time we were leaving, we had prepared the November salary of these 2,000 workers, including my own salary and all other political appointees. But they connived with the Accountant General of the state at the time, and the man bolted away. And so it deprived my principal of the opportunity of signing off on those salaries so that those entitled to will be paid. Now, by the time the government came in, ordinarily one would have expected that they will pay those salaries. But by the time they paid the November salary, up to today, myself and all other political appointees who served in that government did not receive their November salary. Also, those 2,000 workers I mentioned did not receive their November salary. So my understanding of the whole scenario is that those 2,000 workers and myself and other political appointees' salaries were collected by some persons in government. So if there is anything like those workers, to my mind, it must be that 2,000 figure, including some of we political appointees whose November salary were prepared by the government which the current administration took over from. And like I argued then, when they were claiming that all actions taken by Oyetola from July 17, 2022 were deemed to be illegal, I said that means, I remember telling them then that means his inauguration is also illegal, because we're the ones who prepared grants for his inauguration. And those were part of actions taken by the outgoing government at the time. So let us even assume, without conceding, that what the consultant discovered were done under Oyetola. How come the government has not acted upon that report? A government that invited traditional rulers to lie to them that Oyetola left humongous debt for them to inherit. Government that told the whole world that Oyetola left empty treasury for them. Before they came back to say,
Mr. Omipidan, let's not leave, the discourse. From the things
it's part of the discourse.
From the things I've drawn from what you earlier said, Sally Tibot Consulting was engaged in 2023, early 2023, from what I have here. And
by which government?
By the Adeleke administration, actually. But your principal had just left, some months prior to that. And so from what you said, you engaged 2,000 people. And from what you said, what I infer is that you said that these 2,000 people may have been, it probably was their salaries, that was got by some other persons instead of those that were supposed to be paid under the Adeleke administration, right?
Government.
So from that, can we clearly state that truly your administration was the ones who employed these same people that were paid? Can we say that?
No, it was clear. We did not employ ghost workers, or not put words into my mouth.
No, I didn't say they were ghost workers, but these same workers who are now deemed ghost workers.
We never denied employing them.
Okay?
The records are there. We never denied it.
All right, so if you also say, as at that time, those recruitments may not have been carried out by the Adeleke administration. And so can we also infer...
We carried out the recruitment.
You said what?
We carried out the recruitment.
Good. So can we also say that this Sally Tibot Consulting report is false?
Well, it is not in my purview to say it is false.
And why?
Let the government that engaged them say so.
Because they did say that only about 400 and something persons where their lines were not going through, and those were the authentic from the re-audits that was carried out. As against the...
Now, if those, assuming without conceding that they discovered whether, the commissioner quoted less than 500, the PAM self quoted 549, whichever one, let us assume they are within that range. The next question to ask is, what has the government done since that findings to date? That is one. Two, one of the reasons why I personally would doubt the government is that in the past, the government had engaged in dishonest activities. And even in this Sally Tibot case, they are still continuing in that trend. And I will give you one example. Both the commissioner, the governor's spokesman, and all those who have been speaking for the government claim that the pictures and the videos that the consultant took were secretly recorded. You are in tune with digital. Is it possible to post behind, can I post behind you in that studio and yet claim that it was being secretly recorded? When you saw me behind you and the person who will take the picture is probably in our front holding the camera. I mean, you see, like I said, once you tell a lie, you look for 1,000 lies to cover up. The truth is that the current administration in Osun has been inherently dishonest from day one with regards to the activities of the Oyetola's administration. And that is why this has boomerang.
All right, Mr. Ismail Omipidan, while you were talking, you said that you gave an analogy where you said, okay, let's even assume there are ghost workers. They should actually be the 2,000 recruitments that your principal, his administration, did towards the end of the administration. However, I want to come back to the recruitment process there. You know, your administration is actually known for civil service rule and discipline. However, I want to ask, why is it that you had to do that recruitment when your principal knows that he's about leaving office? Because this current administration feels it's like a trap to the administration for you having to recruit in their own figures 12,000, but in your own case you said there are 2,000 people that were recruited, which when they got into office they still declared that the 12,000 that the previous administration, that's the administration of Gboyega Oyetola, employed 12,000, that they have taken them out of the payroll. Why was it not that you had to put it on hold when you knew administration was going and allow the coming administration to do that? Why did you have to go ahead with the recruitment exercise?
Thank you very much. I don't know if you were in Osun during our administration, but let us even assume that you were not. If you Google as I...
Hello, Mr. Miles, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you.
Now, that as I speak, you can Google. You'll find the facts there. The teachers' recruitment started before the election. And when we started the process, we stated clearly that we were going to employ 2,500 teachers and that we were going to do them in phases. And in the first phase, we did 1,000. We stated it clearly. Again, while we were preparing for election, January 1st, 2022, in the statement authored by my humble self, we told the state that yes, this is an election year. However, as a responsible and responsive government, we will not allow politics to take shine off governance. And that is why, even after the loss of that election, all the roads were backed on before the election. We ensured we completed. One of them is the road leading to Ilobu from Lameko, a federal road, which we constructed. That road leads to your office. They are enjoying the smooth ride on that road today because we did not fail in discharging our... It's just like you were saying that we should have stopped work on that road because we lost an election. You know, so everything we did, we laid the foundation. We said we're going to take 2005, but that we're going to do them in phases. And the only reason we were doing that was because of the paucity of funds that we were faced with. Unlike today, when there's enormous fund. And everything this government accuses us of, they have done worse. They promised to engage 5,000 teachers for 3 years. They collected 3,000 from prospective applicants.
The local government allocation in Osun also has been withheld.
My sister, before the local government allocation, what were they doing?
There are projects going on. When last were you in town, Mr. Omipidan? There are, projects going on.
I left Osogbo last week Thursday. You see, most people think that because we lost election, I'm no longer in town. I come to Osogbo often. As I speak to you, I'm running my PhD program in Osun. And so every month, minimum, I spend between 7 and 14 days in that state. So I am conversant with the happenings in that state, my sister. I know what is going on.
Are there projects going on in Osun, Mr. Omipidan?
Yeah, I do. I'm not a stranger. I just left last Thursday. So I am attuned with the... Look, they are just using the local government allocation thing as an alibi. Because
your principal had several excuses as well.
Started. But let us not lose focus of this conversation.
Exactly, yes.
The point I'm making clearly is that, assuming without considering that there are ghost workers, the Adeleke government should account for them. the consultant claimed that a particular account receiving alerts running into thousands. The state government should be able to tell us who is the owner of that account.
Well, actually, the spokesperson to the government, they've denied that allegation as lies, actually.
Fine. They can deny, but the facts are there. Now, I am also aware that some of those they engaged to help them collect revenue were paying this revenue into their private pockets. And when we got hint of this, as at that time I had not gone back to the media, I was still actively involved with my principal. We mentioned the name of the person. We mentioned even the account number. Till today, all the state government did was that they are taking measures to block leakages. They did not tell us if the person were able to help them identify was made to face the law so as to serve as deterrent to others or not. So the government has not really shown clearly that it is transparent and that it is responsible. Otherwise, how can you engage a firm to do an audit for you? And we are just hearing about some details about the report after 2 years. When I saw the Vice Chancellor of the
before you talk too far, let me give you a quick background. Just last week, Friday, we had in these studios with us the Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Barrister Kolako Alimi, in the studios here, and it made us realize that they felt there was no need to bring that, bring the public up to speed on that, because they had, when the whole thing broke out, when the report was got from it, and they all put heads together, they decided to have a re-audit. And from that re-audit, they found out that people who were classified as ghost workers are actual active members of the administration. They talked about the SSG to the state government being one of those. And they also talked about several others who probably were on leave, were unreachable, and all of those things. And from the re-audit, the number crashed significantly. He also said it right here that they have called on this team, the Sally Tibot consulting firm, to come so that they both can sit down, the two sides can sit down and have this thing redone again so that they can all understand points where they're coming from. They said she has refused to show up. She sent no team member as well. She also said she was going to involve the EFCC, ICPC, just as Soko Tajuddin Lawal has also said that nothing of the sort has come, that they probably will be the ones to do that. But in the meantime, while he was talking, he said that all of these steps have been refused. Nothing of the sort has, been gotten. No cooperation to that end has been gotten from the Sally Tibot consulting firm. What do you say to this? How do you respond to that as being non-transparent and non-cooperative?
I'm sure as a broadcaster, you are just re-echoing what they said, because professionally that is what
I'm trying to make you understand that was what we got.
No, I understand. I'm aware. I'm just telling you that deep inside your heart, if you were to be on this side, I can bet my life that you are not likely to agree with what you have just regurgitated, because if you are talking about transparency, you ought not to have waited for the woman to raise any alarm before you communicate with the public. Look, they have time without number come to inundate us with mundane issues. How can you spend public funds running into billion to do an exercise, and you say that you felt there was no point coming to the public? Then who are you accountable to? It only shows that you have something to hide. Because if you have nothing to hide, when you set them up, you told the public you were setting up a panel to do a review. And when you discover whatever it is you discovered, you owe the public that responsibility to tell them what you have found out, if you have nothing to hide. But you see, the truth is that, the woman also said that they paid that 750 million or so to develop a payment platform, which she claimed, the chief of staff said, they no longer need. if it is their personal money, they have expended close to $1 billion to procure a platform, would they behave in such manner? They have just shown that they are reckless and irresponsible. You cannot use public funds to engage on a venture, and you say that you felt there is no point informing the point. If there's no point informing us about,
because the case had not been concluded, they were still waiting on Sanity Board to come with a team, which she has refused to do. Do you see that?
You cannot wait till eternity. Since 2003, this is 2026. So what it means is that if the woman had not come out, we won't hear what they're telling us today. Give me a break. It shows that, one, it is either they are irresponsible, or they have something to hide, or both. Otherwise, you engage somebody to work for you, and you told the whole world when you were engaging the person. So if you find out whatever it is you found out, you should tell the whole world what you have found out. But the only reason you remain silent is that you have something to hide.
All right,
and the truth is that the only reason they may have rejected the payment platform is probably because they know that once they do that, probably those who collected my November salaries and those of other political appointees will be exposed, including those who may have collected the money of those workers I told you we engaged, whose salaries were prepared before we left office. I think we should be asking the state government to tell us those who collected that salary. And they should also be able to tell us if some persons have continued to be collecting those salaries. That was why I concluded that perhaps what they are referring to as ghost workers were those people that were engaged. And probably because somebody like me, somebody is using my name to collect money from the state government, even when I'm no longer on, the payroll officially of the state government, because the one I was entitled to, nobody even paid me.
All right, Mr. Omipidan, let's come back to that conversation where you spoke about the November salary thing. However, let's look at it in this angle, the financial implication of the said 2,000 workers that your principal's administration actually got in before leaving office. Were there projected annual financial impact of this 2,000 that your administration brought in? And I want to add this. Was there an accurate, what do I say now, a communication in transition of this 2,000 workers for the incoming administration before you left office?
Of course. Look, all these things I'm telling you were properly documented. Because, you see, one of the reasons why we didn't take the whole 2,005 teachers at once was because of financial projection. Because, you see, one good thing you can never...
Sorry, is it 2,000 or 2005?
No, we employed 2,000.
Okay.
But I'm telling you that we set out to employ 2,005 teachers.
Okay.
Before the election.
Okay.
And out of those 2,005, we had employed 1,000 before the election. And after the election, we continued with the exercise, 1,005. Now, the remaining 500 were health workers that have been working as hard-up staff. This figure included even staff of OSBC, where they later came out to claim that we never gave them employment later. And the man who promised to give them automatic employment 2 years after he made that pronouncement, till this morning, that employment has not been effected. So they made proper projection. And one of the reasons why we didn't take the 2,005 teachers at once then was because of this same thing. Because give it to Oyetola, is a man that is very, very clinical when it comes to finances. And I make bold to say with all sense of modesty, they may not admit it in the public, but if you have any of them as friends, sit down with them and discuss. If Oyetola had not stabilized the economy, there was no way the current administration would have taken us. Because we knew what the state was when Oyetola came in 2018. So, if the state government is insisting that the consultant has not found anything new, the question to ask is that why did it take them this long? Because this was the government that assembled barely 6 months into office, assembled traditional rulers to lie to them that Oyetola left humongous debt. He took a courageous traditional ruler from Iwo to tell the governor to his face that, well, he is not here to defend Oyetola, but the Oyetola they know could not have done this. And he advised the government to do a proper investigation. Today, I think the government has clearly come out to say that it wasn't Oyetola who took who incurred the debt. See, they have always played politics with issues about governance. And that is why they are getting things mixed up. Otherwise, look, you cannot engage somebody to do a work for you and not question whatever is not clear to you about the work you have asked the person to do for you. Now, if you have the courage to announce to the world that you are engaging somebody to clean your house, if the person claims to have found drugs in your home and you do not agree with the person that those drugs were found in your home, you should have the courage to come out and say so in the public, not to begin to discuss through the back door and see how you can come into a compromise. For me, that shows that something is amiss between the two parties.
Well, that's for you, Mr. Omipidan. I mean, you were talking about the fact that your principal may have left debt, but it was not debt that was incurred by his administration. But when you were coming into office, whatever you inherited, whether debts or money that was left in the account of government, is that still not the responsibility of government at the end of the day? But that's not where we're going.
We never denied it. But the point we're making is that, to the best of our knowledge, we never added to the debts, and we made effort to pay out of the ones we incurred. But this government that we left 14 billion naira for, they came out to claim that we didn't leave anything. After some point, they say what we left was just enough to pay November salary. And I asked them, how much is that amount that was just enough to pay November salary? Except if they will give me the answer this morning.
All right. So you were talking about transparency. I'd like to ask you, if this government is not, transparent enough, why should they come out in the first place about an audit in the first place, about an audit at all? If we talk about transparency, I mean, it was not long after they came into power, or after the inception of this administration, that they carried out this audit. So if we're talking about transparency, have they not led the way enough? I mean, you were talking about the fact that they should have told the public. What if they were waiting for a finished work and to give the people a finished work and not complaints, along the line?
Excuse me, what do you mean by a finished work? A job, you are telling me, it means that the work will have to be till eternity. After you give a review jobs in 2023 and you in 2026, you are telling me that the work has not finished. I mean, it means that the government is not serious, because the audit was to help you take off properly. So if the audit was to help you take off properly, yes, within 6 months, the exercise should have been over. But let me tell you the truth, which no one will ever tell you, and which they may never admit. They probably had thought that we left a rot behind, and they were waiting for a report that would be very damning and heavily indictive of my principal. Apparently, when they reviewed the report themselves, they realized that if they make that report public, they will go in for it, and that's why they decided to cover it. This is my.
All right, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Omipidan, because we are
based on the happening. Because from day one, have you forgotten so soon that this same government accused my principal of stealing spoon and utensils from government house? If a government could come to the public to discuss such mundane issues, how much about the finances of the state?
Well, they have come out now, whether forced or not. But I'd like to ask you, what would you have expected this government to do? I mean, should they have gone ahead to pay Sally Tibot Consulting what she was asking for based on the classification of some active workers as ghost workers? What would have been your recommendation then?
Well, I wouldn't know the terms of her engagement, that is one. But I am aware that there's no system that is perfect. If there are issues concerning the job that she has been asked to do, they should have found a way of reaching a compromise and ask her to do a better job. That is assuming what she has done is not good. But from where I stand, and from what I know about the government and its actors, I will find it very difficult to believe them. That is the simple truth.
So you believe Sally Tibot? You believe Sally Tibot's report?
How credible do you believe in the report of Sally Tibot?
Well, I believe in Sally Tibot's report to the extent that some of the things she spoke about were some of the things some of us have always been aware of. For instance, I challenge you, anytime you have opportunity to engage either the information commissioner or the spokesperson of the state, to tell Osun citizens the number of their political appointees today. They will never tell. Perhaps a government that prides itself to be operating open system, to be transparent, should be able to tell us at every point what it is doing with taxpayers' money, because it is not their money. The money belongs to all of us, and we should know how this money is being spent. But they will never tell you.
So your opinion now is that the 8,000 plus ghost workers that Sally Tibot is proposing in their own reports is credible, despite the fact that some persons have come up to say, like the Vice Chancellor of Osun State University, coming out to say that he is not a ghost worker, and they are pushing to carry out a legal action against the consultancy firm. Is that what you're saying, that the credibility is there?
With due respect to the office of the Vice Chancellor, I am ashamed for him as an intellectual that he has allowed himself to be pushed around by persons who never went to the four walls of the university. Because if the Vice Chancellor is what is taught, he should not have waited until last week before addressing the press conference, if indeed something in that nature had happened.
Mr. Omipidan,
as young as I am, I have presided over a small team. And so I have provided leadership. I know what it means when you try to injure any member of my team, let alone my person. I will not wait. I will not wait a second to make the public know the true situation of things. Was the report just released last week? How come he took the Vice Chancellor only last week before addressing the press? The Vice Chancellor should be ashamed of himself. He's my very good friend. And that's probably one of the reasons why I have not taken up my pen to write about that irresponsible outing he carried out last week.
Are you saying that he shouldn't have even talked about the fact that he was classified as a ghost worker in the first place? I mean, if it wasn't, why should he say he did? And you took a swipe at someone in the government saying that some people have not been to the four walls of universities. Who is that you're speaking of, Mr. Omipidan? Who hasn't been to the four walls of the university in this administration?
But when you engage some of these characters, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you what their background are. But having said that, I believe that an intellectual, that is what is taught, should not have waited up till last week before telling the whole world that he was classified a ghost worker when indeed he is never one. Because by implication, if the consultant had not gone on air to spill the bean, we may never have had anything from the Vice Chancellor. So how do you want me to believe such a person?
And so do you think that the state government just sent it to him that, should have sent to him that he was classified a ghost worker all the while? Before Sad Tibot went on air to say all she had said.
Well, I wouldn't want to say what I am not privy to. But from the workings of the government that I know.
How can you know this government so well, being on the outside?
And you have been faced with it. Well, I must say with all sense of modesty that even though I'm outside, I have friends within the government. We share mutual relationship. And even as the chief press secretary back then, I had friends within PDP. We share mutual relationship. And so, for me, I have never allowed issue of politics to come between me and my friends. I know when we are talking, when it's not in public, we tell ourselves the bitter truth. We tell ourselves the home truth. And so that is why I tell you confidently, with all sorts of modesty, that I know a lot about the administration. One of the reasons why you have not heard me say anything in recent times is because I have elected to face my journalism practice, because I don't want to be doing anything that will look as if I am being paid by APC to bring down the government. Because don't forget, at the end of the day, if the government succeeds, it's for the benefit of all of us, because it will help to accelerate the development of the state.
All right, Mr. Omipidan, shortly
and if it fails, we will suffer for it.
All right, shortly before we leave, I'd just like to ask you, since you're here in the capacity of being former press secretary to the past governor of the state, and this press release that was released by the press conference, and the text is right here by so-called Tajuddin Lawal. The topic there is the mind-boggling 13.7 billion payroll fraud in Osun by Governor Ademola Adeleke's administration is a big crime. And I'd like to ask you, in all sincerity and with all sense of modesty, as you've said all along, and with all the things you've made, us privy to from your close workings with the past administration, would you say that this is the true reality of things?
Well, honestly speaking, I do not have the details of that press conference. I must confess, I wasn't privy to, the text. If it was when I was working actively with them, I would tell you that I probably would have seen that text before, they went to the public with it. But honestly speaking, I do not have the details of that text. But before God and man, and to be sincere with you, this government has not been transparent, has not been accountable in the handling of the affairs of the state. And if you ask me, I will give you a number of reasons to drive home my point. A number of them. One of them, let me just give you one. The first budget that was presented by our governor, he was giving a one-page budget speech. In the history of Nigeria, I don't know anywhere where a budget speech was reduced to one page. But even at that, our governor was very, very incoherent in his delivery. And because then I was still with my principal, I took the governor and the government on. And since that time, the only thing you see outside is you see the governor laying the budget. You will never hear where he's making any presentation. Is that transparency? They are building airport in Ede today. Was it budgeted for? Did they tell us they were going to build an airport in Ede when we have one already going on in Edo? Is that transparency? When he came on board, when he was campaigning, he never told us he was going to build bridges. He only told us he was going to improve on agriculture. He told us he was going to improve on sports. He told us he was going to improve on tourism. Have they done anything in those texts? Was it not last week we were hearing that just because we could not purchase a jersey, our female team was sent out of the pitch and a 3-point awarded against them? Will you hear something and be happy as a citizen of Osun? Let's be fair to ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Omipidan, for joining us this morning. You've really made sense of some of the issues we've raised and some of the questions. Mr. Omipidan was the Chief Press Secretary to the former Governor of Osun State, Alhaji Gboyega Oyetola. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
The pleasure is mine. God bless you. God bless Western Spring and Brave FM.
Thank you so much. We believe that the prayers are answered already, especially with the Ramadan season going on. We wish you the very best, Mr. Omipidan.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
And you too. Well, Femi.
Well, these are the issues, and you know, it's he has made his own opinion known, and he has a right to his opinion regarding that. You know, talking about budgets and all that, the government also have their own side of the story and questions to as well answer regarding that. And it's a nice conversation with the former press secretary to the governor, Alhaji Gboyega Oyetola.
All right, and so those are, the two sides, the state government, Sanity Bot Consulting, and then reactions from citizens, stakeholders, civil society groups. All of this are reactions we had begun to see since that interview, popular interview by the CEO of Sanity Bot Consulting, Sadat Otto. All right, those are the questions. Those are, the thoughts you should go run with. Mr. Omipidan has opened the mind to people to some other aspects. And if you cast your mind back to when we had the Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment right here in the studios too, he made some clarifications on some issues too. So, but you can check that out on our past episodes on YouTube on Western Spring Television NG. All right, we'll be taking this quick break. When we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us.